Good morning and welcome to the Up Zone where understanding is made simple. We are your two hosts, Mr. Elmer Floyd, former House Representative for the state of North Carolina, District 43, excuse me, and Tisha Waddell, former City Council Representative for the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, District 3. Mr. Floyd, how are you today?
I'm doing just fine, Teresa. I'm doing just fine. And I can
Good.
see you
I can say
well
the
today.
same.
I can see you
I can
well
see
today.
I can see you too.
Whew.
Now, believe it or not, these are just readers. I can see just fine when it comes to distance, but when it comes to fine print, a pair of readers really helps me out. Also, Mr. Floyd, I'm learning that these computers have something called blue light, and it's good to have a blue light filter to protect your eyes from that blue
Mm-hmm.
light because apparently it's very damaging. So, yes, I have on my side to side glasses, but I do need them to see this itty bitty writing. I don't know
That's the
how you
largest.
can still see close up.
That's the largest glasses I've seen on a human.
Mr. Floyd, I like big glasses. Look, these are my sunglasses that I wear. I like big glasses.
I noticed. I thank you.
I, I enjoy a pair of big glasses. But big glasses make your face look smaller.
Okay.
Sometimes I need that.
If you
We've had a
believe that,
full week. It does. It does. My head doesn't look as big. Mr. Floyd, we had a very full week. Would you agree?
yeah, I do agree. I do agree. Sorry
Absolutely.
about
Our
what
week
you think.
started off right, right. And can I just tell you, Mr. Floyd, I love his family. Like, there's just something so precious about Ted's family. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed meeting them. I can completely see where Ted got his character from because when it comes to like his mom, his sister, his brother, his nieces, just his children, they just all were so warm and welcoming and compassionate, and it was really good. His mom she's got a really great sense of humor. And listen, height runs in the family because like his brother was as tall as a tree and so was his sister.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, they don't have short people. Even mom was tall. Like they don't have short people in their family.
Yeah,
But
you're right. You're right. I
yeah.
enjoyed the whole family and talking with them. It seems like, you know, they wasn't, they did not see. I can see where Ted got his characteristics from because they didn't see race as a barrier.
At
In talking,
all.
they did not
Not
see
at
race.
all. And it was so funny, Mr. Floyd, because even like Ted's his ability to independently think, apparently that has been his character for forever because they highlighted those things even when they talked about him. So
Hmm.
it was very nice just kind of being around them and having that experience. We do have something that we wish to share with our viewing audience. But before we share that, let's make our announcements because after we share that, then we can just go right into the gritty and the city and the word on the curb. You said that right now there's two homecomings that are happening at the same time, and this is the first time in a long time. Who are those two homecomings?
Those are the E. E. Smith High School here in Cumberland County and
Mm-hmm.
the Fifth State University homecoming the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
There. So if you really want to have a wonderful weekend, attend the E. Smith homecoming. And also, you can come to the Fayetteville State homecoming. I'm sure that they would love the economic benefit coming from both.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is early voting time for the general election, which means it's time to do it again. So, yes, you may have voted in the primary, and guess what? You may not have voted in the primary, but that's okay. Either way, it's time to do it again. Let's push that number over 8%. Let's push that voting number over 18%. Let's get out. Let's go to the polls. Let's speak up and say what we want, who we want, and how we want it. And then let's hold everybody accountable for doing what we expect. So it's time. It is time to vote. It's time. It's time. It's time. Now, Mr. Floyd, I'm going to go ahead. I don't know if the audio will play or just the video, but either way, we wanted to take people inside of Ted's memorial who may not have been able to make it. We know that some of our viewers had indicated that they wanted to come, but they just were not able. They had a conflict in their schedule. So we wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to feel like they were a part of memorializing our friend and our co-host Theodore Ted Mohn, our data guru. Before I hit play, I do want to tell everybody that we have we were very specific in how we went about executing this memorial service. We wanted to make sure that we honored Ted's legacy and that we showed his family our support. Mr. Floyd, before I press play, what was Ted awarded posthumously?
The Order of the Longleaf Pine, and that's the highest award that the governor can give to a citizen here of this great state.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in addition to all of his military accolades, in addition to his awards from the council, he also has now received the highest award that the state of North Carolina affords. I'm going to hit play, Mr. Floyd. You ready?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's the master ceremony. That is Ted's son that's speaking now.
Mm-hmm.
That is Ted receiving the
His son and
United States.
daughter.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
receiving the United States flag. This is his family.
That's his brother.
Family again. Ted and the uniform. That's the wrapping of the flag. And that's the, I think it's the 18 gun salute outside. His son again.
Mm-hmm.
That's Ted's brother. Is that Ted's father?
Courtney presenting the city flag.
Mhm. And that's Ted himself with his numbers.
That was his last graph. That was the last graph he made for
Yes,
us.
with his
And
numbers.
I'll tell you, Mr. Floyd, as we look at this, this was Ted. This
Yes.
was Ted. This was Ted's life. He was and I'll put this up on our Facebook page because it's phenomenal. Like it's I don't know if you guys could hear the music, but there's this beautiful compelling music in the background. This was Ted. This is the guy we all knew and loved. It demonstrated his military service, his city council service. It demonstrated his love for community. It demonstrated his love for data, the data driven facts. Like this was Ted. And so I am just very grateful, Mr. Floyd, that we had an opportunity to participate in this event. I am so thankful for everybody who came out. We had, Nat Robertson, former mayor of the city of Fayetteville, was there. Mitch Colvin, current mayor of the city of Fayetteville, was there. Val Applewhite, senator for the state of North Carolina, was there. Katie Ann Davey, we saw her. We saw Yvonne Kinston, former councilwoman. We saw Courtney Banks McLaughlin. We saw Dino Hondros, Mario Benavente. We saw, people come out and listen, there was no love lost between Mario and Ted, but Mario came out and showed his respects for Ted even in light of that. So that just lets you know how powerful Ted's presence was. It lets you know that. And here's the great part about it, Floyd. Nobody was politicking.
And that's and
Nobody
that's
got up and gave stump speeches. Like nobody politic. They all came out to honor Ted.
and that was the beauty of it. Some people put aside their personal differences, and that's what politics is about. Is that there's a time that you put aside your personal differences and show respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me say this because I want to make sure give honor where honor is due. Mr. Floyd, we had some real help pulling this off. And so, as an example, the city of Fayetteville was instrumental. They helped us with the facility. We were able to have it at the Bill Crisp Senior Center, which is beautiful. If you are a senior citizen, you need to be taking advantage of the Bill Crisp Senior Center. There's a lakeside view. The facility is top notch. The customer service from the people that work there are phenomenal. Miss Jackson is amazing. She's over like you just need to, Mr. Floyd, please tell the people they need to go to the Bill Crisp Senior Center.
It is a beautiful center. Once I found out where it was located,
Yes, yes.
not
And it's
knowing that, of
easy
course,
to
I knew the
find.
general area. I knew the general
Mhm.
area that was located.
Mhm.
Uh, uh,
So I just want
so
to encourage people. Mr. Crisp went all out. Like he made sure we took care of the seniors. And we're going to talk about that because you brought something up. Let's remember to go back to that because I want to hit on what you talked about. I also want to thank Sam's Party Tents. So Sam's Party Tents donated all of the chair covers, over $700 worth of chair covers. They compensated us for that. So thank you, Mark, at Sam's Party Tents. Miss Nubian Mitchell prepared the food, didn't charge us a dollar. She said, hey, if you guys provide me the food, I'll prepare the food. So she prepared all of the light fare for our guests. Representative Robert Reeves, Representative Marvin Lucas, Representative Garland Pierce worked tirelessly at your request, Mr. Floyd. Not even because they were affiliated with Ted, but just at your request and your recommendation of Ted, they worked tirelessly along with their LAs, their legislative assistants, Ms. Green and Mr. Whipkey, to complete the application and move it through to get the Order of the Longleaf Pine awarded. So thank you to them. And then to Senator Kirk Deviere, who provided the printed materials. He provided the picture of Ted, which we sent home with the family. He printed all of the programs, which beautiful. So thank you for that. And he was just, Johnny on the spot. What do you need? Also to us at the Up Zone, Mr. Floyd, and I'll say you because you were the same way. You were like, listen, we're not gonna take a dollar from his family. Whatever costs we incur, we will split. And I was so grateful to you for that because that was my heart's desire was for us to be able to execute this. So thank you, Mr. Floyd. And I know you said I don't want to be thanked. I don't need to be thanked, but thank you. Because without your help, there are so many components of this service that would not have moved forward. And let me just say, although you are not elected, you are still a public servant. So thank you for that.
well, T, thank you, and you won't swell my head today.
Well, I just wanted to make sure, they say you got to give honor where honor is due. So I just wanted to make sure that we honor those people who really helped to make sure that Ted had a beautiful home going. And while we're speaking about that, I do want to go back to what I said about Bill Crisp. You know, when we had our forum, which we recently had. And thank you to everybody who participated in our forum. We certainly appreciate you. As always, we could never do that if you did not participate. So thank you to all 10 who RSVP'd and to the 9 who showed up. We certainly appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, Floyd, you kept
Mm.
saying they keep talking about pay increases for police and fire. What about the garbage man? And you said they keep talking about, services and facilities for the homeless. What about the seniors? And I looked at you and I leaned over and whispered in your ear because we were in the background just talk, talk, talk. I leaned over and I said, Mr. Floyd, there's no senior on the council now. And because there's no senior citizen, well, there is, but the senior citizen that's on the council is relatively um focused on stop signs, speed bumps, and trash cans, right? Like making sure those things get done. Not really creating policy or creating facilities that addresses the needs of the seniors. However, when Mr. Crisp was on that council, he always redirected our attention back to the senior population. And you know what's crazy, Floyd? Those are the voters.
Yes.
So
You
it's
know,
almost like the whole voting population is being ignored.
I mean, each person, now, please understand, Chief, fire and police are extremely important.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
when you look at that garbage worker that picks up your trash, on a weekly basis, okay, when you look at those persons who work in your athletic department, your building inspector, the clerks, all of these individuals play an important role. And then when you look at the seniors, many of those persons need some form of assistance, meaning is that if it means renovation of your home, those
Mhm.
kind of things. I think there used to be a nearby program in which they spent
There
time
still is. There still
yeah,
is.
yeah, to help the seniors to do some home repair, you know. And if those home repair are done, it maintain and increase their property value, which at the same time help the city maintain a tax base. So,
So let's
you
talk
know,
about that, the Nehemiah program. I want you to go ahead and shout that out real quick because right now that is run through Fayetteville Urban Ministries. They do receive funding from the city of Fayetteville. But tell, because we do have an audience that could use that service, tell them about the Nehemiah program very quickly and what that is.
if I'm not mistaken, it's a program in which the city gives money from its community development department to the Nehemiah program to assist in some repairs
Mhm.
to homes to sort of need roof, air condition, or whatever. That
Mhm.
helps senior citizens. So, from time to time, but what we have a lot of discussion on now is the homeless population, which is extremely good, which is extremely important. But we
Mhm.
need to also look at the total population that need assistance because when you're looking at during the summer months and during the winter months, it really taxes our senior population. So they need
Absolutely.
all the help
Absolutely.
they can get. So include them in the discussion.
Absolutely. Especially Floyd, since like we just acknowledged there, that's your voter base.
I mean, when you look at the 8.4% voter turnout, that indeed was the base that turned
Mhm.
out and voted. Now, when we look at, uh, I'm just the curfew. We were talking about the homeless shelter, those that camped out. We were talking about driving while black. We were talking about so many other things, but politicians look at you when you come to them and demand and say certain things, and then they look down and say, "Oh, you got 3 minutes, but we don't see where you voted." Well, they'll
Right.
give you 3 minutes because they know that you're not going to participate in the political process. So
Mhm.
they'll give you
Mhm.
3 minutes, you know.
Mhm.
But you don't turn out your base. For instance, the millennium. You know, you have to look at this. If you're going to talk about something and demand something of your elected officials, then you're going to have to show up at the poll. Because
Yep,
if you show up at the poll, then it would be business as
as
usual.
usual. And see, I had during our forum, I had one of the councilmen ask me, while we were in the back, just kind of in the holding area, asked me, how do you get more people to come out and vote? I said, I think at this point, there that conversation has been had and had to death, Floyd. So I don't think that that's the conversation that you focus on. And then he said to me, this council person said to me, but if you don't come out and vote, you don't have a right to complain. And this is what I said. I said, I challenge that. Now, I believe if I don't go out and vote, because I am an educated voter and I'm involved in this process, if I don't go out and vote, I need to keep my mouth shut. However, I believe that you can't say that for the general public. And I had to articulate to him that's not the case, because whether I vote or not, I still pay taxes in some shape, way, shape, or form. I still live here. I still get a say. I think that my say begins with the vote, but it doesn't begin and end only with the vote. So here's what I told them. I said, the problem is that elected officials typically only focus their policy making. They typically only focus, because I'm going to tell you this, Floyd, I don't think that the homeless conversation would be a conversation if it were not for the merchants downtown that expressed, or the businesses, like for example at the airport, people coming in and then feeling like that's a blight against the business. I think if it were just about the needs or the well-being of that community, this would not be a conversation. Why? Because they don't vote. I think secondarily, what we have to articulate is you have to make policy that is for the good of the entire community, whether they
Well,
voted or not.
when you look at when you let's look at that teacher who has the
Hmm.
voice. As an example, when the Art Council wanted the city of Fayetteville to provide additional money, the council looked out there and saw all of them green sweaters or shirts or whatever, and they looked at, I think the council seats 120. I'm just giving out that number. They looked out there and saw 120 green shirts. So when they looked down, they saw 120 voters. And so they provided that money and found that money to provide to their need. So, politicians look at their base and who are actually participating in the process. So
Absolutely.
now, if we'll go back and look at the baseball stadium, there was some concern about the baseball stadium and the location. Now, that's one piece.
Hmm.
Then there was a second concern about the people that will be hanging around
Hmm.
the stadium. So that's why
Hmm.
the bus station is where it is now,
Where it is.
because the actual location for the bus station in the earliest days was where the baseball stadium. But they
Right.
said those people, I
Those
remember now,
people.
those
Those people,
people
Mr. Floyd.
hang around the baseball stadium. So that's
Right.
why the transit station is where it is today, to move those people that would be standing around the baseball stadium one block away from the baseball stadium. And it's the same
Hmm.
thing that's going to happen when they build the convention center. Believe me
Hmm.
now, the homeless shelter that they speak of, which is the county school system agreed to give some land. The county
Hmm.
appropriated $200,000 to purchase land that school system say we'll give you. But the thing that I'm saying, that homeless shelter won't be next door to that convention
To the
center.
Civic Center.
Yeah,
That's
let
right.
me let me make that very clear now. I projected it would be at least a mile, a half a mile plus away from the civic center.
Well, and
Okay,
the truth of the matter is, what we're hearing is B Street, right?
I mean
Land
that,
is on B Street that the school offered.
but bear in mind that the county, you're right. The county, the school system offered the county that, but the county want to take the taxpayer $200,000 and purchase land to build a building. Now the city
Well, and
also
here's
want to,
but here's the question. Why wouldn't it this takes us back to that collaborative effort? Why wouldn't the county just invest that $200,000 into the facility that the city has already stood up and help make it more robust and more functional? Because Floyd, why is it that they always got to do their own thing?
well, I mean, the thing about it, it's that's one overall statement. Who can be in charge?
Mhm.
And that's the problem that we have. You're going to the
Absolutely.
county's looking at renovating a hotel or motel at $3 some million. Well, now the county gonna look at building a facility. So we're spending all of this money when we can combine this money together to have an overall master plan. So
Mhm.
you know it's no different when we talked about black museum. The county want to
Right.
build one, the city want to build one. So it well, it's just like the man on the street. It's not my money, so it doesn't matter. But if
It
it's
don't
your
matter how
money,
you spend it. Right, right.
your money, your personal money, then you will spend it differently.
Mhm.
You know,
You might
and,
have a little bit give a little more thought to how you're doing that.
I don't understand. But again, if there's land to be given, then why not look at that uh, than to look at taking land to purchase it? Now the question of it is, where I'm always leery when you're talking about purchasing land there. So who land is it that you're gonna purchase?
I'm
That's my
always
question.
leery. Oh, absolutely, because you know the dots always connect. I'm always leery when people say we're going to put poverty in the middle of poverty because that model doesn't work. What it does is it ensures that that area remains a poor area. So if we put let's be real, B Street has a lot of issues that need to be addressed. And there's a cheerleader for B Street that is always saying that. Pamela Carter and her husband are continuously letting the community know we live here, we love here, this to improve. The answer to that is not to drop a center that serves like Mr. Floyd, we got to concentrate in poverty. We have to stop doing that. And I know everybody has the um is it Namby not in my backyard, Namby. Everybody has the NIMBY mindset. Don't put it in my backyard. But at some point, we have to see an elected body say, "I know that's how you feel, and I know you vote, but we know what's best for this community in terms of how we structure it to raise the economic tide for everybody, including the broke people."
Well, you get a
But that's
chance to
not
go
what
on.
we see happening.
You get a chance to go on Branson Street. That'll answer your question.
So we forgot to mention when we were talking about. I'm with you. We forgot to mention when we were talking about early voting, one stop voting, the dates. It's going to be October the 19th through October the 4th. There are two locations. Two. So if you're on the west side of Fayetteville, you can go to the Cliffdale Recreation Center Monday through Friday, 12 to 7. Saturday, November the 4th, is the only day that they will have one stop voting at the Cliffdale Rec, and that's from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Additionally, we have the Board of Elections, which is always a one stop voting location, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Saturday, again, November 4th, is the only day for early voting at the Board of Elections. That's on a Saturday, and that's going to be from 8 to 3. So at Cliffdale, don't go till noon. If you go at 8, nobody's going to be there to greet you. Noon. Board of Elections, 8. 8 to 5, noon to 7. Board of Elections, 8 to 5. Cliffdale, noon to 7. Saturday, both locations, November the 4th, 8 to 3.
Now
Okay.
remember, now they must be remembered. Now, if you miss your, don't go to the board of election on election day and hope to vote. You must go to your polling site and cast your ballot. Now, statistical data has shown that 14% of the mail-in ballots by African Americans has been rejected, and about 6%, 6.4% whites that send in mail-in ballots has been, rejected. So I'm saying to you, I strongly encourage you to vote in person
In
if you would
person.
cast a ballot because the U.S. postal system don't guarantee you that it will arrive before 7:30 on the night of election.
That's
And
right. And
so
listen, if you need a ride, you need to go on some of these candidates' Facebook pages and send them a message and tell them you need a ride. They'll be glad to take you to the polls.
I believe so. I,
I
you
believe
know,
they would. And I'm not saying that facetiously. I really mean that because a candidate would love nothing more than an opportunity to pick you up at your house, talk to you about their campaign all the way to the polling site, wait for you to come back out and then take you back home because they can almost be assured you're going to vote for them.
you got a 50-50 chance now, G. You got a
Yeah,
50-50 chance that that person will vote for you. But
yeah,
truly, you can get to the poll that way. You know.
absolutely.
Now, but the other thing that's one of the sticking point about election may not be probably next year is with the observer that's inside the polling site. I think that that
Mhm.
would be a problem, going into the primary next year because they have sort of full round of the voting, the voting area there. They can stand within a certain distance of you, which may be intimidating to some person when he or she wish to see that the thing that voting is a secret thing and a personal thing, and you
Mhm.
standing behind me, may create a problem for some people.
Mhm. Floyd, we also see that the I'm gonna mention my city council representative by name real quick because this will tie into him. I sent my city council representative an email. Now y'all know, y'all watch this program. If you watch, you know. Again, no love lost. Council member Benavente knows how to rub me the wrong way. However, Mr. Floyd, and this is what I want our mayor to understand. I know how to give credit where credit is due. So you do not have to feel uncomfortable walking into a forum that I am hosting because I want you to really put your best foot forward for this community. Now, Mario could have easily, Councilmember Benavente could have easily opted not to participate in this forum because of our personal feelings about one another. But he came. And let me tell you what happened as a result of him coming, Mr. Floyd. I've not had an opportunity to watch the entire forum yet, but I did watch my council representative and I listened to him. I didn't agree with everything he said, but overall, I felt like he performed well in this forum. So I sent him a text to let him know that. And when I sent him that text, I got text back, Floyd, and this man told me that they was putting speed humps on my street, and I'm gonna tell you, I am not happy about that. However, majority rules, even in a community setting. So if the people here want speed bumps, congratulations to the people on Landau Road for getting your speed humps. I'm not a speed hump fan. I don't know about you. That ain't my stick. But I am glad that the people in my community are getting what they asked for. But I say all that to say, first of all, I wanted to be clear that I can give credit where credit is due. Secondly, Mario has been very critical of the police chief's response, particularly where these pieces of media were concerned that were passed around to the council when they had the conversation about the youth ordinance. We now see the Fayetteville Observer requesting these pieces of media and being told by the Fayetteville City Council, no. What
Now
do you
wait,
think
now,
about that?
now the federal the observer requested the documents because
Hmm.
they were under the opinion based on law that if were given out in the public to
That
an
is
elected
public record.
body, that those documents are then public information.
Hmm.
So in requesting that, they first requested from the city, and then it went to the police department, and
Hmm.
both were denied. but you have to look at it. It's just like in EEOC, the person cannot, the CEO or whoever cannot say I did not know, because we look at the fact you are in charge. You should have known. Okay,
Mhm.
so the the point of question of it is that some say that it was. I think they say that the posts came off social media, but the
Mhm.
pictures were blanked out. The face was blanked out. But the city attorney mentioned that there may be some other things that may identify the person. But
Mhm.
what the African American community looked at is that you found 20 African American youth with guns. 20. Now, other people have guns also. And so that's why they were saying that the curfew would have an adverse effect on the African American community, because the 20 pictures has already set the stage that it's an African American thing. So that was a concern in the African American community. And some say, well, it's part or it's not part of an investigation. So therefore, we should err on the side of whatever. But
So this
you should
takes us this go
show
ahead.
them. I mean, you show them at the public meeting, you know. So it seems to me that if you show them at the public meeting, then it becomes public information. Now,
And
but
I
in the
think
closed
this may have been I was getting ready to say that. I think this may have been an error in understanding the best way to bring information before the council, because I think if Chief Braden would have thought about this strategically and thought about it from start to finish, or even had communicated to, and I don't know if he communicated with the city manager or the city
but
attorney prior to, but if
let's
he
face
would
it.
have done that, he could have taken them into closed session, showed those documents, and then come out of closed session. Because if it is a part of an ongoing investigation, that warrants going into closed session.
What Chief, let's look at from a fact. Many times, CEO and person in charge has a whole realm of duty and responsibility. So we
Absolutely.
rely heavily upon our
Our
staff to
staff.
prepare the documents for us. We take those documents and then we review those documents along with our overall responsibility. And then we go before and make a presentation. Sometimes we are not totally prepared, and not saying that he was not prepared, but I'm sure the chief didn't put that together himself. There
Oh
was
no,
a
for
staff
sure.
member,
For
there was
sure.
a staff or staff persons
For
that put
sure.
that together, and the chief, based
But
upon
if the
his
chief would have communicated, absolutely. But if he would have communicated with the city manager or the city attorney, they could have given them some procedural guidance to say, okay, we'll show these, but let's do it in closed session.
but again, Tish, but when you have a lot of responsibility and you have to go before a body, you take what that staff give you, you
Hmm.
go over it, because not only are you going over this presentation, you going over support for I think it's about 400 individuals that you are
Hmm.
constantly at. But you look at the staff that put it together. It seems to me that that staff should have did some scrambling of the eggs
They should have
before
pulled
they.
some white boys and white girls too, you say, and
Yeah,
they should have been a little more
yeah.
inclusive.
I mean, they send the chief out there, with 20 African American pictures.
But let
Sometimes you
me
got to
ask you
stop
this, Mr.
and
Floyd.
pick.
Let me ask you this. But let me ask you this, because the thing that stands out to me is when the chief of police gives his report, and the report is based on the crimes that have happened. When he gives his report and he is breaking down the shootings that have occurred, breaking them down by age, breaking them down by gender, and breaking them down by ethnicity, when we are seeing that the ethnicity of the majority of the shooters and those who have been shot are Black people, is it unrealistic to believe in our community that Black people are the victims and maybe also the victimizers against each other of criminal behavior? Because that's who is getting shot and that's who they're getting shot by.
Well, you got to look at it. Black life matters when it's done by. another organization. But when it's done by black on black crime, no discussion.
And see, that's the problem that I
Very
have. I
little,
think that we
very
need to
little
be,
discussion now.
yeah, we need
Uh,
to be a little more honest. Us
you-
black folk need to get a little bit more real about what's going on in our community.
yeah, killing blacks is just as worse as as a white officer or a police officer shooting a African American. It is
Hmm.
death. And so, if you're gonna
Absolutely.
complain, complain both ways. So, you know,
Absolutely.
we owe it, we owe it to ourselves there.
And
But
we owe it
that
to each other. We owe it to each other.
I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. We owe it to each other. Now,
So
the last thing that I want to talk about before we take a look at these maps real quick is this Medicaid expansion. Let's go up to the state level. Let's talk about Medicaid expansion and then talk a little bit about these maps. Mr. Floyd, what's going on with Medicaid expansion?
well, it's supposed to kick off December 1, but there's some preparations that need to be made prior to that. And I have said before, this is a tier 1 community. We are
Hmm.
in the bottom 40 of the 100 counties. We're in
Floyd,
that
you
group.
said something to me that blew my mind. What percentage of Cumberland County residents are getting assistance through social services?
Right now, it's 97,000. They project that it would add or 40,000 individuals will be eligible now
So
to
97,000 people out of a county of about 220, 200 and what?
now this is about 300. The county is about 300 plus,
So
and the
then that
city
means
is
that a third of the citizens are receiving assistance through social services.
well, that's what it looked like. Now, based upon the estimate that they gave the county, when they offered the county that they need some assistance to jumpstart
Right.
program. So the county gave $344,000 to help jumpstart it. So now, what I want to say, teacher, is that 97 and that projected 40,000, I encourage the 40 to go to the Board of Election or the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles and get you some ID, free ID, because you're gonna have to have some ID in order to qualify. So that's an additional 40,000 people that would have some form of ID to cast your ballot in the upcoming election.
Mhm.
So it's no
So
excuse.
I'm gonna pull up your house map because as we're talking about elections, Mr. Floyd, I think we need to talk about these maps. So let me
Well,
pull this
the
map up and you tell me what you think
thing I
about
can
it.
say is that Houston, we have problems.
Okay, explain your map.
Which this is if you look at the house map, you can see Cumberland County down at the bottom there. You can see
Mhm.
District 42, which is Representative Lucas. He is now shifting more so, I say, to the north west. And then we look down and we see that
Cuz this is
green.
Cumberland County.
Yes, Cumberland County.
Is
If you
is
look
this
at
green right here? Lucas is what number?
Lucas is 42.
So Lucas would be here.
Lucas,
And this is
Lucas
43. This is
43 is
currently
all the
Diane
yellow.
Wheatley,
Yes,
right?
43 is all the yellow that you can
Who is
see, and that's
44 currently?
44. I believe is Charles Smith,
And this is
and
Miss Jackson.
40, pardon me,
And 45 is
it's Miss Jackson, I believe.
right. Mhm.
Okay, so if you can see the way the maps are drawn, you can see that most rural community lean Republican. So if you
Which
look
is
at
this
that yellow,
large. Yeah.
yellow, that's it's the area that is drawn to protect Diane Wheatley. So if
Mhm.
you look at the that center which is green, I believe that that's is Charles Smith area. But if you notice when they talked about the budget, the Republican uh, senator from up in Moore County, and the Republican representative included Charles Smith in their discussion about the budget. So I just want to drop that to you, and you see that area there. And if you look down at the yellow, I mean the blue part, you'll see where Francis Jackson, Representative Jackson is. So the goal is to have 71 House seats and 32 Senate seats.
Mm-hmm.
There. That's the Republican. Whichever map is presented does not matter. It's going to court.
Right. So let's
The,
take a look at we have another map that we're going to look at. Let's look at the NC Senate map.
if you look at the NC Senate map, which you have there,
So here's Cumberland
look at,
County.
you look at Moore County, which it comes down from Moore County, and it comes down and surrounds the city with a Republican district, which is
Mhm.
21.
Mhm.
Now, 19 is the city per se, which is the
Mhm.
district that Val Applewhite uh, represent. But you really don't know. You just see the geographical location now, but it's
Mhm.
key that you go to the Senate, pull up the maps, and then look at the districts to see what precincts are in the district, which would give you a much better picture.
Mhm.
So as it is right now, even at the U.S. House maps, they are projected to draw 10, 10-4, or 11-3, and you will
Mhm.
see a lot. So 3 to 4 of the U.S. House seats that are Democrats are going to be changed to Republican drawing
And
districts.
as you can see, our congressional map, because Cumberland County looks to be split, right? Because it's going to fall into District 7 and District 8 at some point if this map is approved, right? And
But,
you can
but
see that the area that is the Fayetteville area, see, because Fayetteville would fall right in here.
mhm.
That's lumped in with Bladen and Pender and Onslow, but Cumberland County in and of itself is lumped in with Moore, Stanley, Montgomery, Lee, Harnett, Sampson.
That's one of the maps. That's one of
Mhm.
the maps of the two U.S. House. Now the second
Mhm.
map that has Cumberland County going all the way up to Hyde and also Pamela and Beaufort County. So you know
Mhm.
we a U.S. House district is going to rank somewhere maybe 740, somewhere over 700,000 citizens. So Cumberland
Okay.
County itself, within itself, is 300 plus thousand. So it's already a third of what it takes to make a U.S. House district. So we'll run
Mhm.
from Cumberland County all the way to the coast, and that's a huge district for a person. I think it covers maybe about 12 counties. That's a lot.
Mhm.
Come if you are in Cumberland County and want to run, for a U.S. House
You're
seat,
gonna have some work to do.
you're gonna have some work to do, and you might as well just stay halfway of the district in order to save some time because when
Mhm.
you have to drive from Cumberland County to the coast, that's 4 hours plus.
Mhm.
So
Well, Mr.
so
Floyd, I think as we look at this, one of the things that we can most certainly deduce is that voting is always important because when
well
you elect people, it goes beyond just what you see.
well when you are you saying the maps? No, the maps are not drawn fairly, but we have a chance to participate in the process. The party that I represent, but the party that I represent, some kind of way, you know, it reminds me of a car salesman. They talk a good game to sell you the car, but when
Mhm.
it comes down time to actually help you finance the car, it's a different story. You
Right.
know, and what happens is that minority candidates does not raise as much money as the white candidate. And if a minority candidate is running in rural North Carolina and one is running in urban North Carolina, the one in urban North Carolina is going to raise more money, but they want you to come up with the same amount of money if you want to have some assistance. So
Mhm.
we got to start looking at where are these competitive races wherein that we can invest money in these competitive races and change the message so that we can get some victory. But what the party does as a whole, you have the person that raised the most money in the party is the one who assists the caucus and who they want to support. And so it's not the minority representative because they don't raise as much money as the majority representative. So, and thing that I'm saying to you, Tisha, these individuals are the one that select the candidate that they want to assist, not the party. So, as an example, last election, money was spent in Wake County, and $640,000 was spent up for one seat in the western part of the county. So, but if you want to win seats, then you must be willing to help all of the candidates, the Democrat candidate. Now, when our party decided to do that, I would see that we will gain seats in the House and the Senate.
Y'all also, I say this every time, you guys are also going to have to change your messaging because the Democrats' messaging sucks. But anyhow, I digress. Mr. Floyd, what you want to leave our audience with today?
Well, if you have some concerns, if you have some concerns and want to complain, I suggest that you go and vote and then complain, complain, and complain. But if you don't vote,
Hmm.
then how can you complain? You
Yeah,
know, how can you complain? I mean, if you're talking about 15 plus days to cast one ballot, and
right.
8.4% of the people is going to tell the 110,000 people what they want city government to look like.
To do. Mr.
And they're
Floyd,
doing
absolutely, how many participants did you say? How many viewers were at the forum for the Chamber of Commerce?
well. The chamber had 60, somewhere in the 60 percentage, but you know
You
the
said
candidate,
60 people showed up? About 60 people?
yes, it's about 60
Okay, so
people.
we've had 70 streams of our podcast, and that's only from our YouTube page. That's not
Mhm.
counting any other medium that we run on. So we've had 70 streams. So we have had, I will classify that as a good viewership. Now, let me say this, and that will continue to climb as the election goes forward. So I will say this to the candidates who willfully, because there was a candidate who called because there was an emergency, even though somebody called me later and said they saw that candidate out and about, um, at a leisurely activity, they said they had an emergency. But the reality, Floyd, is there were candidates that willfully decided not to attend our forum for whatever reason. I will say to those candidates, and they showed up at the Chamber of Commerce. I will say to them, you need to understand best and highest usage, because the best and highest usage of your time is to touch the most people that are going to go out and place a vote for you. Now, either you think you got it in the bag so you didn't have to worry about it, or you just don't value our viewers. But viewers, I want to tell you thank you regardless. My final words to you are thank you regardless, even though we know consistently that there will be some candidates who will not show up just because whatever their reason is. Because I don't want to guess what the reasons are. Because maybe, they're allergic to that building. I don't know. But
Now,
whatever
T,
their reasons are,
let's be reasonable. T. You got some candidates just just don't want to show up, but they want the office. Okay, they want the
oh, for
office,
sure.
and they feel that they got the office, so I don't need to show up, and
Right. And they
therefore
don't
you,
need, and they don't think that they need our population's vote. And I
yes,
think that the way that you demonstrate to them that that is ineffective is to reconsider where you place your vote. Because if a person cannot be bothered to show up to participate, in something as simple as a forum so that you can gauge whether you want to vote for them? Are they really the best candidate for
See,
you?
let me say this to you. A black Democrat or a white Democrat cannot get elected unless they have a large portion of the African American community behind him or her. Let me repeat now as we close. Cannot get elected if he or she has a D in front of their name. Cannot get elected unless he or she has a strong Democrat support. I don't care what position you have.
I'm glad you brought that up because it made me think about something. And I want to remind our listening audience. I'm speaking specifically to the Deep Creek Road area, so east of the river. When your representative Shakila Ingram came onto the Fayetteville City Council, I remember the first fight, the first battle that she had, and this was a big one, was because she had received information and I had received information. I shared it with her from a reputable source in our community, somebody who has shaped legislation in our community over and over, called me into their office, had a conversation with me, and told me that they provided Mitch, and I will not say the other person's name because it's not germane to this conversation, but that they had provided two people on our city council information about the land east of the river as it related to the um the athletic center. Okay, because remember, Mr. Floyd, that was supposed to be a game changer for east of the river, and it was something that they had been fighting for a long time. When I tell you Mitch fought, first of all, I think he was untruthful about his representation about whether or not he had received that information. They were very surprised that we knew about it. This is all, I still have the video if anybody wants to see it. It was a work session, and I specifically kept this video because I knew it would be important. He fought against it tooth and nail. He has never been supportive of, or let me say this, never spearheaded or been eager to see any investment east of the river. Shakila was willing to die on that hill, okay? Councilwoman Ingram. This is not an endorsement of her. I'm just stating facts. Secondarily, she is the one, and again, did could not receive support from the mayor, but she is the one who brought to the table, because remember, it flooded really badly east of the river. Those people deal with catastrophic flooding all the time. Their homes were underwater, some of them, as a result of the major flood that we had, and then subsequently some of the smaller deluges of rain that just occur on a Wednesday. She came before the council and said, listen, let's help my people east of the river. Let's put a moratorium on building in some of these areas, which means we stop building because we already know it floods here. Why build when it floods? Could not get support from the council, to include the mayor. But I see people campaigning for him east of the river. Mr. Floyd, that blows my mind because you need to support who supports you.
Well, you know, Tish, the, the key things about politics is how I can keep my base and grow my base. And I'll say to you as we close, you know, you must be a FedEx, UPS, okay, United States Postal System, and Amazon. You must be able to deliver. So I encourage everyone to go to the poll and vote in person. Do not
Yeah.
use mail-in ballot because you cannot get guaranteed that it will arrive on time. So it's so much good in the worst of us, and so much bad in the best of us that I ask you not to talk about the rest of us. Have a good day.
And my closing statement is I encourage you to remember, because politicians bank on the fact that you won't. So remember, go back and refresh yourself and remind yourself. Ask people, what exactly did you do to support XYZ? And what did you do to block support of ABC? And that's it. And Jesus loves you, and so do I. I want everybody, you have the day you deserve. And at the end of the day, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So whatever happens is what happens, and we just all gonna have to live with it. And that's the gritty in the city and the word on the curb. We are the Up Zone. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will catch you on the next episode.